Now, right now, we are a week, not even a week out, just a few days away from 2 mass shootings in a row. And whenever these things happen, there's all these people that want action, but nobody knows exactly what to do. There's calls for gun control. There's calls for mental health reform. There's calls for, what, if anything, can be done to stop these things from happening? And how have you sat down and tried to come up with some sort of a solution? And is there a solution?
Look, I would be lying to you if I told you I had a magical answer. I don't. And this is such a horrific situation. We were in, we had a town meeting. We were in Nevada, actually, in Las Vegas, when El Paso happened. And we did a town meeting, and I said, okay, let's take a moment of silence to remember the victims and pray for the survivors. Literally, the next day, in another part of Las Vegas, I had to do it again. And I said, I can't believe that just yesterday we did this, and I have to do it again. This is, I don't know what the words, my friend Beto O'Rourke was saying, you don't know what words, what can you say? It happens again and again. Who can imagine some lunatic walking into a school or a mall or just on a nightclub area and taking out an assault weapon and shooting down people? And that we almost become to accept this as a normal part of American life is incredible, is just totally demoralizing. All right, so here's what I think. There's no magical answer, but let me tell you what I think. First of all, this is the reality. The reality is that today, as we speak, there are approximately 400 million guns in America today. We have more guns than we have people. We have between 5 to 10 million assault weapons. And an assault weapon, as you know, is a military-style weapon designed to kill human beings kind of rapidly. And then on top of that, we have, again, nothing to be proud of, but, we have a number of mentally unstable people, for whatever reason, are walking the streets, they're suicidal, they're homicidal. That's the mix that we have. I think the answer is, and I'm not the guy to invent all these ideas, but here's some of what we have to do. First of all, if you want to own a gun in America, we have got to know that you are a stable person, and that means that we need to expand the background checks that currently exist. Okay, so we've got to know, did you beat up your wife? Have you committed crimes? Et cetera, et cetera. What is the state of your mental health? Number 2, we got to make that universal. Number 2, right now, there is a background check if you walk into a gun show, into a gun shop, but you can buy guns in various states at a gun show, and you don't have to do any of that. So if you and I go to a gun show, you sell me a gun, I don't have to, right. I don't have to do that. Third of all, I can today legally walk into a gun show, pass the background check, and buy a dozen guns, walk out and sell them to criminal elements who will use them for bad things. So I think those are issues that most Americans believe we have got to deal with, and we can. Fourthly, I happen to believe, and I believe this for 30 years, that we should not be selling or distributing assault weapons in this country. They are weapons of mass destruction in a sense. They kill people rapidly, as we saw. And thank God, by the way, when we talk about both Dayton and El Paso, thank God, cops were there very, very quickly and did an incredible job. Because if that guy had walked into the nightclub, there could have been dozens and dozens more people killed within a few minutes' time. I happen to believe, that we should not be selling or distributing assault weapons in this country. That's my view, period. So I believe in a ban on assault weapons. And I think we have got to begin thinking about when we have 5 to 10 million assault weapons, which is more than the U.S. military has, we have to think about a strong licensing procedure in terms of who owns these assault weapons. So that's some of what I think. And there are many other things, but those are some of the ideas that are out there.
Now, the legal gun owners who are law-abiding citizens who would never in a million years think about going around shooting people, but they love guns. They hear this kind of stuff about like banning assault rifles, banning assault weapons. They don't even like the term assault weapons, right? They like to refer to them as their individual names for whatever they are. These people feel like this is an inexorable part of being an American, that you should be able to own a gun. It's written into our Bill of Rights. It's written into our the way this country was founded. It's the Second Amendment. What do you say to those people that don't want to give up their guns, but they wouldn't do, and they want to protect themselves? They feel like these guns are viable options to protect themselves from criminals.
I understand that. And Joe, as you may know, I'm a senator from the state of Vermont. And the state of Vermont is one of the most rural states in America. Every fall, we've got whole thousands and thousands of people are out in the woods hunting. And it's something that's part of our tradition. I believe in it. I believe in the Second Amendment. But all that I ask of the gun owners, and you're absolutely right, 99.9% of gun owners would never in a million billion years think of doing these horrible things. But in the moment that we are living in, I think that we're all going to have to make, some concessions to the reality of what is going on, and that is that there is a small number of, call them what you want, depraved people who are prepared to do that. In Australia, you remember that terrible, New Zealand, I'm sorry, the terrible shooting at the mosque, and they moved pretty quickly in an aggressive way. So, I wish I can say in the best of all possible worlds, you can own any weapon you want and so forth and so on. We're not living in the best of all possible worlds. We're living in a world where we're shocked every day by horror. So,
I agree we are living in a terrible situation. I mean, there's hundreds of mass shootings a year now, which is insane. And if you look at the number in comparison to the rest of the world, it's crazy. Like a big one in another country is like 3 mass shootings in a year. We had more than 270.
Right.
It's crazy. But how would you implement something like this?
Well, the idea of banning assault weapons has been done. In 1994, we banned assault weapons, I believe it was for 10 years. That ban was undone by a Republican majority. And it didn't, I'm not suggesting, by the way, that anything here that if you banned assault weapons tomorrow that it would radically change everything. But we have got to do the best that we can do. And again, I prefaced my remarks by telling you I don't have a magical solution. You got hundreds of millions of guns out there. You have people who should not be owning these guns, who get set off by God knows what, and do terrible things. All we can do is the best that we can do. But to say we can't do anything, I think is a real disservice to the American. Now, I'll tell you something else that bothers me, in addition to the horror of seeing people lying on the street dead, is what this is doing to the children of this country, and I think we underestimate that. I have 7 grandchildren, and for them and for kids all over this country, you're going to see the fall's coming, kids coming back to school. You're going to see in schools all over America drills. All right, this is what you do if somebody walks into the school. All right, you're going to hide under here. You go over there. Kids, a couple of months ago, I was in Iowa. This guy is about 6'2", big guy, probably a football player. And he says, Senator Sanders, I got to tell you that the young people in my school are increasingly frightened, terrified about what could happen in the school. Think about what the trauma of what this gun violence is doing. So I think we're all, as Americans, there ain't no easy answers here, but I think we're all going to have to come together and figure this one out and do the best that we can.
Now, would that mean forcibly removing these guns from people's homes?
I don't think you're going to have the FBI knocking on somebody's doors and taking that. That's not what we do in America.
But if we have 400 million guns already out there, and they're building more every year, right now as we speak, gun manufacturers are making more guns. This is happening right now. So if those guns already exist, there's more than enough.
Oh yeah.
How would you stop?
Well, again, I think, look, I do think there should be a ban on assault weapons. So that means that manufacturers would not be able to produce or sell those weapons, period.
To American citizens, yes. But not to the military, obviously.
Right, obviously. Right. Okay. So, and your point is well taken. If you got 400 million guns out there, So I think there are approaches. No one has any magical solution, but I've given you. I'll tell you something else that I didn't mention, and that is the role of gun manufacturers. Is that if you are a gun manufacturer and you are selling a hell of a lot of guns to a gun store in an area which normally you would not think. I mean, these guys know, what cities buy, what towns buy, how many guns. And if suddenly there is a tremendous demand, you got to be thinking why is this gun store buying so many guns? Doesn't reflect the population in the area. You got to deal with that issue with the gun owners. Have to take some responsibility.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.